Okay, so in these videos, I'm going to show you how to convert from standard form to vertex form when A is not 1 with somewhat of a shortcut. So you pick whichever method works best for you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite my equation with C pushed to the side. So it looks like this. I have f of x equals 2x squared minus 8x. Oops, that actually shouldn't be there. Minus 8x plus something plus 2. So I'm going to put this in parentheses, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to factor out my a value, which in this case is 2. So if I do that, I have 2 parentheses x squared minus 4x plus something plus 2. All right, now I need to complete the square to figure out what the c value would be inside my parentheses. So if you remember, to find c, it's b divided by 2 squared. So my current b value is -4. So -4 divided by 2 is -2. -2 squared, -2 times -2 is +4. So that completes the square inside the parentheses. And what I have to do to keep this equation balanced is I can't just subtract 4 from this 2 value over here. I actually have to subtract 8. The reason why I subtract 8 is because I have to consider the fact that everything inside the parentheses right now is being multiplied by 2. So 2 times 4 is 8. So since I added technically an 8 here, I'm going to subtract an 8 to keep it balanced. So now that I have a perfect square written inside these parentheses, I can rewrite it as 2 times x minus 2 squared. Remember, this value is always just b divided by 2. So I wrote that part, and now I just have to simplify this. 2 minus 8 is -6. So that's kind of like the shortcut way to rewrite from standard to vertex when a is not 1. Our first example. Okay, and of course you can always write f of x on the other side. It does not matter. Okay, so here is our next example. The big difference here is now our a is a negative value. So same idea. I'm going to, if we go back here, you can technically do this first step and the second step of factoring out your 2 in one step. So I'll show you what that looks like. So rather than rewriting this with bumping over this -2 and then factoring out a 2, what you can do is do that in one step. So -2 parentheses x, and then 12 divided by -2 is -6x plus something minus 22. Okay, so again, all I did was I shifted over this minus 22 or -22, and I factored out a -2 from this part of my equation. So what I do now is I have to find my c value. And I just realized that should be there. Teachers make mistakes too. All right, now I need to complete the square. So again, to find my c value, I do b divided by 2 squared. So -6 is my b value. So -6 divided by 2 is -3. -3 squared, -3 times -3 is +9. So again, I have to keep it balanced. So because I put a +9 inside the parentheses, I'm not just subtracting a -9 or subtracting 9. I have to do -2 times 9, which is -18. So technically I'm subtracting -18, which, if we know our integer rules, is the same thing as adding a +18. Whoa. All right. Let's rewrite all this. So if I rewrite this, I have a -2 as my a value, so that remains on the outside of my parentheses. I can rewrite this as a perfect square, where it is x minus 3 squared. Again, the number inside the parentheses is always just b divided by 2. And then I simplify -22 plus 18, which gives me a -4. So my a is -2, my h is a +3, and my k value is a -4. Okay, so let's do another example. So if we come down here, we have y equals 3x squared minus 6x plus 6. So what I can do is I can rewrite this by factoring a 3 out of my first two terms. So that leaves me with x squared minus 2x plus something. And then I move over my c value of plus 6. All right, now I need to complete the square. So again, my c value that would complete the square is b divided by 2 squared. So negative 2 is my b value, so negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is just positive 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. So because I put this 1 in this missing space, I need to keep my equation balanced and subtract it from my c. So 3 times 1 is 3, so I have to subtract a 3 from over here. Now I can rewrite this portion as a perfect square. So I have 3 times x minus 1 squared. Again, b divided by 2 is the number that goes inside the parentheses. And then 6 minus 3 is a positive 3 value. One thing that you'll notice is the value of a from standard form is always going to be the value of a in your vertex form. Those should always be the exact same number. All right, last example that we're going to do over here. So we want to start by factoring out our a value from the first two terms. So 4 parentheses x squared plus 6x plus some number, and I have to shift over my c value. So to find our missing value here, I do b divided by 2 squared. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Okay, so I need to do 4 times 9, which is 36, and I need to subtract that from our, what looks like our k value right now. So I can rewrite this as a perfect square. 4 times x plus 3 squared. Again, for the last time in this video, the number inside the parentheses is always just b divided by 2. And then for my k value in vertex form, I just simplify this over here. So 35 minus 36 is a negative 1. So this would be my vertex form. And you could put equals y. I recommend you put that. Okay, so that is the shortcut as to how you can go from standard to vertex when your a value is not 1.